Oh, are we back?
Yeah, we're back. Sorry for all the delay. It's always when you are in the cutting edge of doing something that you cannot prepare for, you are in the hands of live streaming angels and devils, I guess. So where we left off, Jay, was where we talked about you were having clients that were not preparing your content in time, and you were exploring different ideas of how to make that happen when they came into delivering all your content to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and during that time, I was, I got really good at using Joomla and building sites quickly with Joomla. And one thing that I enjoyed was the amount of resources that were out there for Joomla, from the extension directory to the different template clubs out there. And I found that during that time, custom web design, most people thought of custom web design. The templates weren't the big thing, but what you could do is you could be honest with your client, and you could offer them, say, well, if you want me to build you a custom design, it'll cost this much. If you'd like me to build you a website off of a template, I can show you this. We can change the logo out. I can do some customization and do it for cheaper. So I started using that method, and I was able to sign up to just about every template club that was out there within 6 months. And wow. Yeah, so and that,
doing your research.
Yeah. So it was a really fun time, but during that time I developed a small group of people around me that helped me with things, and we started to look at the market and see that there was a lot going on with Joomla. And so we said, well, why don't we put together one of these things? Why don't we do a template and extension club? And we sat around and we talked about it for the better part of a year until we finally got the website up. And with the website at the start, we were only selling extensions, and that was something that we wanted to try. So we built a few extensions, and basically the thought that I had on it, because I had a little experience with setting up a website where you sell a product or a downloadable product, I thought that, well, okay, so we might sell 100 or 200 items of this product, and then it's going to go out there on the torrents and all these other places, and it's going to get shared. So I didn't have huge expectations for something like Joomla extension, but within the first month of putting stuff up, we started to see sales roll in. I think the first or second month we did with limited extensions, we were doing about $5,000, which was like, wow, that really opened our eyes. And the whole thought of that maybe that an extension would not be a continuous seller. The MP3 player, that one of the first ones that we put out, that now it's Flash-based, it's legacy. We're pulling it from our catalog at this point. But I think we sold more than 10,000 of that product. And
wow, amazing.
The downloads now for our website, we've had over 9 million downloads from our website. And that does include people re-downloading the templates and stuff, but that's a huge number.
Wow. And you said that you have a team that you work with to make that happen. How did you figure out who to work with, and how did you find them?
Well, it's funny. My the principal partner in the company in Joomla XTC is Alejandro Curzon. He's in Mexico City, and I think the first time that we started talking was on the Virtumart forum.
Oh, really?
Just online. I found him and said, I need some help with this. Need to build something. So we started to talk, and we found that we have a lot in common. We both started very early on in the 80s with personal computers, and we have a great passion for Commodore series computers, the VIC-20, the Commodore 64, and like the Amiga. And we had similar taste in music, and we said, wow, this is pretty cool that we're from very different places in the world, and that we can talk and find stuff out. So we got to know each other, and we really liked each other, and said, well, yeah, we can do something together. And the graphic designer that we've had with the company, I've known him for going on now over 20 years, and he was always into graphics, and just one of the best graphic designers I've ever known. So by getting really good coders, really good graphic designer, me, I had a lot of good ideas. I can do a little bit of everything. So I was able to pull everybody together, and that's something that people have told me. I'm kind of the glue in companies. I've been able to bring people in and get them to work and get them to work together.
So how do you work together? Like, you are in different parts of the world. You're not in the same physical space. Well, do you use special tools to make it happen? Do you have like Monday meetings? Like, how do you get your glue together?
We basically, we've been using like GChat, and now like the WhatsApp and chat software, and we pretty much, so it feels like we work in the same office. We use Skype a lot. You know, there's been times where we've just left Skype on for hours at a time, just sitting there with doing work. So we're in constant communication. That's one thing that the internet has brought to the table. You know, physically, we have a physical office here, but you know, during times when I've done vacations or I've gone out and volunteered for Joomla at a Joomla day or at a conference or whatever, you know, just taking the laptop, I can sit and operate the business. So, you know, I've talked to my wife about it and said, well, at some point, you know, we could easily just end up on an island on a beach somewhere and I can still run the company as long as there's internet.
See, that's a new part of the world, right? And we have these new opportunities that we don't have to be bound by our chairs and our tables.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
So how you talked about your wife? How does she feel? Like, are you working like 9 to 5, or are you working more hours of the day? How do you like make it all work? So
well, I own my own business, so I work weekends. Sometimes I work till very late. But again, you know, you can have my my own hours. So it's very nice that my wife understands that Joomla is. Or pretty much so our livelihood. I have my company, and we also have a company called Mono Software that we do high-end client work, and that's there can be two parts of my day. There can be the 9 to 5 doing the Joomla, and then going and working for 5 to 8 hours on a client site. Like that. So it's a bit of give and take. You know, I do get some times where, you know, that I tell the wife that we have to leave. We have to go out on date night, because if I stay here at home or at my office, that's it. I'm going to be in front of the computer. Yeah. If I get away from a computer and we go out and do date night, everything's fine. Okay,
that's good. Good to hear. I think that that's a big challenge for everyone that works in their own business. My husband and I talk about that we have a lifestyle, and it's not like work time and family time and leisure time. It's like everything is combined, and it's hard sometimes for everybody to buy into that kind of lifestyle business. Yeah.
Exactly.
So like I can be off to go to the kids' training practices, yes, on daytime when most people can't join the training, but I can choose what kind of hours I work on my day. And exactly. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's what's great about owning your own business. It's a full-time job, but you do have some freedoms.
Yeah. So how do you come up with new ideas of, like, you talked about you have the templates and you have the extensions, and you said that in the beginning it's more or less like some client has a challenge and you solve it. But do you have like brainstorming sessions? Do you have a roadmap? How does development work at your end?
Well, the development in the beginning, of course, it was a lot easier because you know, just looking around with fresh eyes and seeing that, okay, this doesn't exist for Joomla, or this doesn't exist for Joomla. A lot of, you know, what we've looked at in building templates is, you know, what businesses aren't represented out there. I think we've had like I think we had maybe the first political type of template. You know, we were doing a lot of business type of templates where most other companies were, you know, they were focused on a few different markets, but, you know, there's still a lot of opportunity out there, you know, to make stuff with templates and extensions. Now we've gotten, I think the extension directory obviously has gotten overloaded with a lot of the same type of stuff. I mean, how many sliders do we need? You know, slideshows. There's a lot, because I go to the JED and I look all the time and I see, well, what's coming up. But as new features with Joomla are coming out, that's what we're really looking at. I mean, I'm really excited about the custom fields that have come in because it's opened it up for developers to make their own custom fields.
Yeah, so that you have now started providing that kind of new custom fields that is an addition to the 19 fields that already comes with Joomla. You made a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's several other people that are doing that and doing it quite well. So there's a few limitations with it. So we're trying to figure out a few things, but that's the challenge as well. But I think as new things come up with Joomla, there's going to be new extensions. And I think the focus right now, the most important extensions seem to be administrator type of extensions, things that help the administrator work better. You know, if it's for like an SEO or a backup extension or something that helps to style like the Joomla emails and things like that, just an upgrade for Joomla. We've really kept things strict with Joomla. You know, a lot of people that I've seen, a lot of companies, they've gone ahead and moved forward by adding extra JavaScript or trying to do a workaround for Joomla. Everything that we've built upon the basis of Joomla. So we, you know, even with our templates now, a lot of the template clubs have moved on to Bootstrap 3, but we're still using the internal Joomla Bootstrap 2 inside. Okay. So we try to make everything not really have any conflict with anything that might happen with Joomla.
So when you say that you are creating a new template or a new extension, is there like an argument within the team what you should prioritize, or how is it you that decide, or how does that decision work?
It's generally with our team. You know, we'll come up with a couple of ideas, and the real limitation is time. Time is the limitation with everything. We still have maybe 4 or 5 extensions that we've been working on for the better part of a year, but those are components. You know, if quick little extensions as far as modules and stuff that can be done quickly, but there's a talk. You know, is this really necessary? And it can be a hard talk sometimes because you know we have some different concepts sometimes about what's needed. You know, because when you're trying to build something for the community, you know, do we need to build something that everybody should know? Do we need to build something that you could do, a module that could do something that you can do in 5 minutes with HTML, just to make it easier for a user so they don't learn, that doesn't know HTML? Yeah. Or, you know, so, you know, there have been some things that we've built that never got done because we said, okay, let's just drop that. But there is some talk about that. But we try to look for missing elements, things that people need to that will help them to build their website. Most of the stuff that we've released have been more based for developers than for the end user.
Okay. So how is the, like, if you look at it from a point of view, I am a user and I'm a subscriber to your club, is there any way that I can like influence what you're going to do next? Yes.
Yes, you can do it on the forum. You can send us a support ticket. We do have a lot of requests. We have requests on Facebook sometimes. So, you know, we have quite a few ways to directly contact us.
Okay. Yeah, yes. I think that's sometimes the hard part, because you are so involved in creating a product, and then when you get it out the door and you start marketing and people get to be users, then you have to deal with all the support and all the documentation and all the customer service. And a lot of companies fail, not because they are not really, really high-end, really good products, but they might not be set up for taking care of the logistics of the support and the customer care.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's one of the top clubs out there that many people use that I won't mention. We've had a great discussion in our user group, our Joomla user group here in Tampa. Everybody wants to know how to contact them. They say there's virtually no support. They have the best UX. They have this. Their templates are great. They have a framework, but there's absolutely no support, which is confusing to me. And support is a hard thing. It's, you know, we use a ticket system. A lot of people use forums, and forums are okay, but the problem with the forum is you can't really share private information. I can't go with a forum and say, okay, they'd have to private message me their back-end administration. With a ticket system, I can get all the information I need from them and go in and fix the problem for them. If it's something that's pretty easy to fix, instead of me writing out, how they need to fix it, I can go in, fix it for them, give a brief explanation, and be done with it. So, but the ticketing system does get overwhelming as well. That's the start of my day. Mondays are traditionally the day that go back and do all the tickets that came in the morning for the weekend, because we do take the weekends off. Okay. Get that done. But being the quote CEO of the company, I still do tickets. I do everything. I deal with the customers, and people do request things. I think I just did a food truck template a couple, like 2 or 3 months ago, and that was a direct request from one of our users on Facebook. They said, "Hey, I need this." I said, "Okay, well, that's a great idea. Food trucks are getting really big, so let's do that."
And I think that's the key to don't lose sight. I think that when you overgrow your organization, your CEO, which is mainly maybe the part, like the major part owner of the company, gets too off being customer centric, because there's so many internal processes and like other things to deal with, that they forget about the end user or the client. So I think it's awesome that you can be part of taking care of tickets and being in conversation with the users, because it gives you hands-on experience what they need and get the feeling without having someone PM you about it.
Yeah, and it keeps me familiar with the products. Trust me, there's many times that a ticket will come up and I'll think, wow, that was 4 years ago. Okay, I don't even know the answer. I'll have to go find the answer. And it is, I'd say I do get a lot of satisfaction too in showing people some things, because teaching somebody and showing them something new is very exciting, and it's to show somebody that doesn't know how to use Web Inspector, to show them that, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're a god." I think the first the first couple like years of doing support, it just came down to that, to find out what line the CSS they want to change the CSS, and they're like, "Oh wow, you're great." I'm like, well, wait a minute, let me show you how to do this. You can do this too. So it really, it's nice to empower people and help them to learn more.
Wow, cool. So when it comes to, like, we talked about how you product your products and how you get them out to the market, but we didn't talk about marketing. How do you get clients today?
Well, that's been a hard thing throughout the years. We've tried many different things. In the beginning, if you're starting a new company, you obviously have to go out there and do some, use AdWords. We've used AdWord campaigns in the past. Those aren't that big anymore. We've tried Facebook. Facebook has been a real nemesis on that one, because we've dumped a lot of money into that, and I haven't seen the return that we really need to see on it. But it's something that that you might want to do for us, because we've been around almost 10 years now. So when we started, we did have a lot of the JED helped out 100%. If you're doing extensions and you're not on the JED, I don't know what you're doing. That's a great place to be. We did work with some marketing people in the past, and got that. And we, in the past, we have had an affiliate system, and that's been a return. One thing about that is that, as you should know, if everybody doesn't know, most of these sites that you go out that feature the top 10 Joomla templates of the month, or the top 25 Joomla templates of July, most of those blogs are using affiliate links. That's why they're putting them up there, so they get an affiliate link. So affiliate links have helped for us. And there's other sites out there. There's the old listing site, the Best of Joomla website, where you can list your templates. And that's really, as far as marketing, it's been more organic on the social networks. I found that works a lot better. Getting out there and posting on groups is one thing. I started a extension group and a template group for Joomla. The Joomla extension group, we just hit 5,000 users. The template group is moving up, and I started those two because it's really hard to go out there, and on a lot of these Joomla groups on Facebook, they're very restrictive. They don't, no advertising, no spamming. And I said, well, we need a forum we need a place where people can post this stuff because everything's so restrictive. So I started those two, and that's all it really has turned into now is people posting templates. It's maybe 25% questions, but it's giving people a lot of freedom to do that. So finding outlets like that, definitely just posting your product on Facebook, it really isn't going to get you as much as maybe doing a video tutorial on how to use a feature of Joomla and putting it in a blog and linking from your Facebook back to your web page. I think that more organic type of stuff, instead of sitting there and spending a lot of money and ending up paying click farms, you know.
Yeah, and I think that the idea is to realize how content marketing works, which is, like you say, training and tell people something valuable and teach them. And if you have a template that you can feature things in and you can showcase how it works in your template, people will be more engaged in actually using your template in the end. Or
exactly.
If there is any other kind of training material that you can give.
Exactly. And in the user groups, if you're somebody who builds, has the knowledge enough to build extensions or templates, and you're not part of your local Joomla user group or actually running it, that's something that's missing out, because there is a whole group of people out there that, you know, will start to use your product because they know you. They can call you on the phone almost, you know, after going a couple times, they can email you, you can do that. And that just spreads, you know, that's the thing. I mean, if you're not big in the community, you need to be. That's something that we kind of got into later on with Joomla, as being part of the community, but that plays a big part of it.
So you would say that the networking that you are doing within the Joomla community, having speaking engagement at different Joomla user groups and Joomla days around the world, has helped you in your business? Yes,
it has, and advertising too. You know, when we started doing advertising, sponsoring Joomla days, we didn't see a immediate return. You know, putting a flyer in the bag or whatnot, you can put a coupon code, but after doing it over and over again, I started to see some return. I know that for definitely, like Joomla World Conference in Vancouver, I met quite a few people, and you know, just looking at the daily sales and subscribers and whatever. Oh, look, that's that person. Oh, that's that person. So you can't.
But that's the thing. I think that sometimes you think that it's just to post your stuff out there and say, "Hey, come and buy," without having any known trust and like factor involved. So you need to build your brand, and I think that that's one part of why I want to do the show, is to talk about the people that actually are running the Joomla businesses around the world and introduce yourself instead of being just an avatar on the web. Or it's hard for all people to. I know of so many people that never have the possibility or ability, economy-wise or time-wise, to actually join a group or come to an event. So I think this.
Right.
This way of actually sharing it on Facebook and talk about what things would make it easier for them to reach out to you eventually and say, hey, I think that this is interesting. I would like to know more about how you do this, and connect. And I think that's connecting the dots. Is
exactly.
important.
And I've always reached out to other people as far as other providers of Joomla. When I started the company, I didn't see everybody as other people as competition. That's one thing that I made clear, is that the other template developers, they develop something, and if you're an end user, you're going to go look at this place, that place. You're going to find what design, what you need. You know, it's not just we're all in this together, and I've tried to keep that mentality, and that's really that's gone a long way, because I'm friends with Quashar from Joomshaper. I've developed really good friendships with these other companies where other people might see it as, oh, they're my competition, you know. And we share data and information about, you know, what we're going to be coming up with, what they're doing, what works as far as, you know, pricing scales and marketing, because you have to do that. If we're all in this community, we need to, you know, kind of set a level and do some things to make sure that everybody is, you know, on board with it.
And I also think that combining partnership with other strategic partnership with other Joomla businesses, it's crucial for your success. Because if you feel like everybody is not your colleagues, they are competition, and you're not sharing anything that you share, how could you be thinking that anybody else would share it with you? It's like I see it like a Swedish smorgasbord. Everybody comes with like a dish of expertise or code or insight or thoughtfulness, and we can all share and see what we like or not like from that smorgasbord.
Exactly.
So coming back to partnership, I know that we've been doing some initiatives for having like say Thanksgiving and Black Friday and Cyber Monday things, and we've been trying to like collaborate within the companies. And I think that that is something that I would like to encourage more people to do, and reach out to other people and say, hey, I'm going to do this. Can we do it together? Because the more people that join forces and getting that word out is easier with marketing. And if you endorse someone and they trust you, it's easier than for other people to start trusting other people.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, when you asked me to put together that list of Black Friday sales, and we put that up on a Google Doc and shared it on the Facebook sites, and other people shared it. That was great. I think a lot of people benefited from that. That got a lot of traction.
Exactly. So what has been the toughest time for you so far in the business?
It goes up and down. Traditionally with the company, summer times are, there's a lull in summer, and I used to ask other companies, and they all said that back a few years ago. The concept was, just to pump out an extra template, do maybe 2 a month or whatever. Currently things are slower than the past. I mean, the heyday of our company was back in 2010, 2011, 2012. Then we started to see a decline, and I mean, I think everybody's seen that, and it's gotten slower. And it's not just Joomla. A lot of people like to blame Joomla, and there have been some problems with Joomla. I hate to bring it up, but it has to come up, the backward compatibility issue. That moves some things, but just looking across the board, WordPress is down. Everybody's kind of down, and I think that there's a lot of different reasons for that. I mean, you've got social media now. You have where the small company that maybe wanted a website, it can do with a Facebook nowadays. There's the Squarespaces, there's this or that, and a lot of people are worried about that. But I tend to think that it's going to be fine, because what will happen is the people that are just starting out and they're starting their website with Wix, or they're on Facebook, their company's going to grow, and they're eventually going to need something else. And Joomla can be that solution.
And I also think that the idea of focusing Joomla marketing towards agency and professionals using Joomla in their business to provide websites to others, to be professional builders of websites, I think that will make it more easy too for Joomla to find their target group and sweet spot, and having that conversation with these companies. And that will make it easier for you as a developer, or as I as a developer, to talk to the right people at the right time, to be more relevant in our conversation, and they will talk to the end user more or less. So I think that might be that we will see, I don't know if you agree with me, but I think that we will see more, like you say now, more back-end admin extension will come around that makes it easier for the end user to take care of the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, and there's been a huge focus.
And then it will also be those things that also helps, like more frameworks that will help the developers to actually develop more user-friendly sites to the end users to manage. So I think that we will see a diversification that we haven't seen so much before.
Yeah, and I think a lot of what's going on with what people are making it easier with the frameworks. They make it easier to administrate a template. There's the page builders. Now everybody's doing a page builder, which makes it really easy to design a website. So, and I see that these things are moving forward in Joomla, looking at, the future of Joomla and the concept of drag and drop and things like that, making it easier. But personally, I don't know if Joomla needs to be that. It seems that Joomla is easy to use. It's got its focus, but I think that, in a lot of cases, we're still stuck in the middle of WordPress and Drupal, and we're getting a little bit overlooked in a lot of cases. I've talked to some people that have made a decision maybe to use just Drupal or WordPress, because they say, well, here's the fact is that Joomla is kind of the intermediate. So the enterprise solution is Drupal, and the easy solution is WordPress. So they kind of skipped over Joomla. So I think there's a lot that we can do with Joomla with the marketing. I think that's one thing that we can really look at, is that, as all the naysayers, Joomla has a huge amount of growth that can happen. We can really do this, but it takes people. And that's something, I let everybody know. I did my Joomla user group last night, and, I talked about Joomla 4 and talked about, well, the alpha's coming soon. It's going to be out. How many people download the latest version of Joomla and test it and do reports? Not that many people, and, everybody's like, oh, well, Joomla came out a few months late, or this came out late. Well, that's because it didn't have proper testing. So, getting people involved and understanding that Joomla's not moving forward without every one of us. That's the biggest
and
thing.
I think that's one of the biggest points that you actually addressed, is that a lot of the other solutions out there have a big company with corporate backing, with staff that helps out. And Joomla has no corporate backing with money paying any developers. It's only volunteers from that helps out to create what Joomla is today. And it brings me forward to that question that I would like to address to you and say, you started out in the Joomla community to help out a whole lot more the past 4 years, I think, when you started doing more speaking engagement, running user groups. Now you've been also doing your Joomla Day in Florida.
Yep.
How did that happen?
Well, that happened with I think it was around 2013. We were never part of the Joomla community. In fact, I didn't know a lot about that. It was all volunteers. I just started doing Joomla without any knowledge of what Joomla was. I think in the beginning, we donated some money to on the Joomla site because we were making some money. So let's donate some money. And then we said, well, okay, well, everything's moving forward. And, we are so involved in building our company and building, making money. That's what we're really interested in. So once the money started to go down a little bit, we said, well, what's going on? Okay, well, there's a world conference coming up, and it was in Mexico. So Alejandro, being in Mexico City, said, well, let's go to that one. I said, okay, well, let's go to Cancun. And we went there with a lot of questions about, well, what's going on with Joomla? What's happening? And we came away from that knowing one thing, that don't ask what's going on with Joomla, ask what you can do for Joomla. That was the basis of that. And that was great. That led me to say, okay, well, if I want my business to be better, I have to make Joomla better. So I immediately got back and started a user group. And that moved me forward into speaking, because watching some sessions there, I said, well, I do this for a living. I can share what I do. I can share sessions. So I think my first event, Diane asked me to speak at Joomla Day Boston, and I failed miserably. It was horrible. It was so bad. But I kept going. I threw myself right in the fire and said, well, let me go to WordCamp Miami and speak about Joomla, which was, thank God, it was so much better. And I just keep getting better. And it's not something that I ever wanted to do. I've never been a public speaker. I'm once people get to know me, I can pretty outgoing, but I can be a very reserved person. I don't really do well in like a large party atmosphere. I've broken out of my shell a lot in life, but public speaking, just never wanted to do it. I think I called my wife in Miami at the WordPress thing the night before, going, maybe I can just say I'm sick. I want to come home. I was just so nervous, and a lot of people go through this. I know that.
Oh yeah, and I totally admire everybody that just stand up and speak for the first time, and you see how nervous they are before, but they do much better than they actually feel themselves. So I think that people in Boston that was at your session didn't feel like you were failing. They felt that you were sharing. It's just like a mind game that comes into our minds when we try to talk and share our experiences. And as you say, it's like no one of us could drive a car to begin with. We started by sitting up and then standing up and then start walking and then start running. And then eventually we have evolved. And same thing with public speaking.
Yeah, and that's another way that Joomla has, been changing my life throughout things. It's put me into these situations where I'm forcing myself to do something so I can get better at it, and I have another skill.
So if you think of anyone that would like to involve themselves into the Joomla community, how would you suggest them to do?
Well, there's lots of things that they can do, from starting a user group. There is, right now on Joomla.org, there's the Help Wanted. There's many different groups that they can be involved with, and you don't have to be a coder. That's generally what I tell people is you don't have to be a coder. Don't think that it's like that. You can write an article, and I actively try to inspire people to do that, to get out and to volunteer for Joomla and do something. I know that the magazine, they need articles on a constant basis. We need programmers, we need marketers, we need everything. There's a place for anybody who's out there. Everybody has a skill, and if they can bring their skill to Joomla, that just makes Joomla stronger.
Yeah, and the more we are sharing in participating in volunteerism, as you said, it's easy just to try some new version out and see if you can report something. You don't have to be a coder just to report that there is a button that doesn't work or is left aligned instead of right aligned. So it's a lot of different things that you can involve yourself with. And I will post the link into the chat after our conversation to volunteers.joomla.org. So that's, I think, could be a good starting point to do that. Mm-hmm. So if you think that anyone wants to learn some, like, the secret nuggets of your business, if you knew this when you started in like 10 years ago now, how would you say, like, if I was to restart my business right now in Joomla, what would that be?
Wow, that's a good question. When we tried to expand our business during the middle of it, but it's very hard to deal with having a business that's remote. I maybe would have looked for some more local employees, and maybe not get so blindsided on the business aspect of it. Maybe I would have liked to have been involved in the community a lot earlier on. That would have helped, as well as being adaptive. Being able to look out there and to say, okay, well, this is technology is changing so fast. I definitely would have looked at some other avenues of making some different types of extensions. Not being so developer focused. Maybe more front end focused.
Because it's a bigger market.
Yeah, there is a bigger market, but like I said, there's enough slideshows out there. But yeah, I don't think there's not that much that I would change in it. I think that if somebody wants to get into the market, I think that it's a great place to start. We have many resources with the JED. Hopefully at some point we'll have a template directory. Mm-hmm. I know that's in the works, but there's a lot of support from Joomla in that fact.
Great. Is there anything else you would like to share with us before we leave off? I think that it's been a very interesting conversation, and I think that we can keep on talking for hours because we have so much to share, and we might find another avenue to do that. I will really, really thank you for being a part of this show and keeping up with the technology things that can happen like you did for us.
This is part of it.
So how would people, if they want to reconnect with you after this show, how would they be able to connect with you?
On Joomla.org under the volunteers, or they can go to my website, Joomla XTC, extension and template club.com, and there we have a contact there. Contact me there. But if they want to contact me directly, the easiest way is from the volunteer portal.
Okay, good. And since you are a commercial entity and with a business, I would like to give you the opportunity to give our viewers a deal that they cannot resist by trying your stuff out that we've been talking about today. Do you have anything that you can provide for them?
Yeah, we have a right now we have a coupon code that's going to be good for a while. That's Joomla 3.7 to celebrate the release of 3.7, and we'll probably do another one for 3.8 when we get to that point.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your time, where we could give some good insights into how you have been working with Joomla and how you've been volunteering to Joomla over the years. So thank you so much, Jay. Really appreciate it. So I will stop by saying thank you to everybody that viewed this broadcast, even if you viewed it live or if you viewed it in one of the replays. We will continue doing this kind of interviews for a long time, is my hope. So every Monday, same time, will be our schedule for this broadcast. If you would like to give us some ideas of questions you would like to ask or areas of our topics that we can have a conversation around, I will be really happy to use them in my conversation with next coming up guests. And if you have any questions in this show to Jason or to me, feel free to put that into the comments of the show, and we will be looking at it and trying to comment on them as we go. Thank you so much, everybody. I will now end the broadcast. Bye-bye.